Before we dive into today's big topic, let's hit you with a little teaser. Have you ever wondered why some childhood scars will haunt our relationships, or how AI and automation are reshaping how we work and live? And here's a bold one. What's the true cost of that fast fashion bargain you just scored? Well, stick around because in this episode, we're unpacking the lasting impact of childhood trauma on adult relationships, how the gig economy and automation are changing the job market, and the hidden price tag of our obsession with cheap, trendy clothes. Hello, this is Chris and Cappy with Bun and Build.
This is Chris.
I think I said all that backward. Welcome to episode 6 of our podcast. Okay, so basically today we're going into childhood trauma, how it impacts adult relationship, the future of work, AI automation and the gig economy, and the cost of fast fashion. So let's do this. Part 1. So segment 1, relationships, how childhood trauma impacts adult relationships. I think that well, as we go through our own journey and our journey together, we have watched a lot of documentaries, read a lot of things, and listened to a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, and a lot of holistic stuff. We are super into the holistic things. Like, I don't see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's necessary, especially today, because everybody's gone cuckoo or is depressed or anxiety and stuff. So I think in our society today, it's definitely necessary, but it's just because we do things at home and because we're working more on, like, I don't know, basically what today is about, like your childhood trauma. And apparently it's not only your childhood trauma that are impacting you, it's your ancestors' trauma. So I think trauma gets passed within your DNA, and that's science. That's not like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's actual science. It's stored in your DNA for I don't remember how many generations. So sometimes you may have issues in your life today and you think it's your burden, but it was one of your ancestors' burden and it's just been passed on to you. That's why it's very important for you during your time on this planet to do the work on yourself so that you're not passing on any trauma to the next generation.
We gave a little example, I guess, according to Cappy. Like, you may have, like, your parents might be together and happy and everything, but in their childhood, they may have had a trauma with their mother, their father, I guess your grandparents, whether they broke up or they died or something traumatic on their end, that somehow that is being stored and passed along in your DNA when you were birthed as a child. And you don't have that trauma per se in your life. Maybe you're happy, you don't have any issues, no debts, no molestation, whatever, but something else is stored in your DNA that is trapped inside of you because of your parents, essentially.
Yeah, so you have to clean that out. And apparently I didn't know that. I wish I had known that before I had a child, but I had my son young anyway, so I don't think I would have known all that. Although he knows more than we did young because we tell him everything. We try to teach him everything we've learned. But you also passed on a lot of trauma through pregnancy, through that child's DNA. So whatever trauma you went through at that time or whatever stress you've gone through during your pregnancy is getting passed on to the child. So you really have to work on all this. And people don't see it, They think it's just Cocoa Puffs. It's like nothing. It doesn't mean anything. They don't need to work on themselves. This is just how I am. It's my personality. It's not your personality. It's just something you can actually work on, and you may have a blockage. And actually, sometimes they might tell you may have like a shoulder pain or something. It might be like an energy of trauma that is stuck in that area of your body, which is why when you get a massage or you do yoga, you can sometimes release that. And it's just, the body is crazy, the mind, everything is crazy.
Then they say sometimes you have like a certain scar from something It's something like a past life or something like that too.
Yeah, we saw that. So I had in the documentary, I remember, no, it's the
Birthmark.
birthmark. They say that
Yeah.
sometimes your birthmark in a past life, you may have been stabbed there or something. It may be a sign of how you died or something like that. So there's like so much that we don't realize and we really don't know. It's crazy. So for me, like even remember when we used to go to the chiropractor? We went to the chiropractor like as a family once, and he worked on it was the he realigned you from the where's that vertebrae? So he adjusts your spine because sometimes if you look at the length of your leg, right, you might be like you might have like 1 inch off. That means your body is not straight. So he would adjust the spine and then straighten it out. And then the first time I went there, um, I realized I went to the bathroom after and I had bled because I just had my period. It was finished, but because of the alignment in me, and I felt it right away when he adjusts the spine, it shifted where my uterus is and it just shifts you. So everything, if you're not aligned, basically we're like a system. And if something is out of whack, it's just gonna mess it up. And everything is like connected, like your weight. Like sometimes they tell you um that you might be obese. Like some girls, like an obese woman, she has a bad addiction with food, and you'll find out she may have been abused sexually, and then she put on all this weight because it's her armor. If she's fat and ugly, nobody's gonna want to touch her, and that's how she protects herself. So, like it affects your weight, it affects your mood, it affects your relationship, it affects your life in every way. So if you don't deal with your trauma, then you're just gonna have a crappy life, most likely. Or sometimes people may have perfect lives, like celebrities, you think they have a perfect life, but they have baggage, and then it shows up as drug addiction. Like it's going to show up in your life differently for everyone.
Yeah, definitely traumas need to be dealt with. There's so many different ways that I guess everything is individualized to you and your personal thing. It could be something like, you busted your ass as a freaking child and now you're scared of bikes or falling down in life. Like that might just be a trigger. Like you're always like falling from that one little thing you did as a child. You might not think that's something crazy, but for whatever reason, that's like you're always falling or you're dreaming about falling and you're not putting that connection back to that little moment as a child.
I wonder, because they tell you we're not born with fears. Our fears are learned. The only thing I think with fear, we like we know love, darkness, and light. And then I forgot what else. There's like only one other emotion we're born with. And then after that, everything we learned from our lives and our parents.
I think definitely your traumas, you tend to develop after certain things because you may not have had a certain fear, but something simple just started becoming more scared of something. Or maybe you had a bad experience at work, you got fired, and then, ever since then, you're like, oh, is this guy gonna fire me again? And then you go into that job and thinking like, I'm just gonna last, or they're gonna hit me for this particular thing, and like you go through that cycle. Or even let's say the trauma of, in today's society, the whole black mentality thing. Oh, it's the DEI and uh, the white man, and I have no respect. I have no value because I'm white. Because I'm black. I'm not gonna get the job. If you're going to the job thinking everything is a black thing, black and white thing, or they're gonna be racist, you're gonna put out the energy of being that outcome. You have to go into positive thinking. I'm great. I'm awesome. Not having in the back of your mind that trauma of the whole white and black thing. You have to go into this being, I'm amazing. I'm good for this job, and put out that you're the right person.
I think Black people have a lot of ancestral trauma that needs to be worked on,
Yeah.
but not only as individual, as a like collective. Like
I'm not saying, just to be clear, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't ever exist, but you can't always go into thing blaming, the white man because some other white guy somewhere on TV or somewhere else did something or 100 years ago. I mean, like, you can't go into life blaming things and not necessarily even having proven happened to you, but because society supposedly has this stigma, you can't build your future based on somebody else's past experiences or things that have maybe happened. You have to move forward and build positive foundation because you'll have that trauma built into you that is going to follow you forever until you really deal with it. That, you know what? I'm better than this and I can do things.
Yeah. So, I guess let's see what we have for facts on that. Or actually, we'll just go with some examples. So, for example, if you have a fear of intimacy, um, you may have experience, early emotional neglect or abandonment, and you may avoid closeness, fearing rejection or feeling vulnerable. So, I think it's kids who weren't held much, or you may have be abandoned. You have a fear of intimacy. So, or like of getting too close to people. And I think in that case, you may possibly, probably, like also like leave people early or something. Like you break up with the person before they break up with you. So you don't feel like you're the one who was left. I think like when people do that, they have like probably something like that happen to them.
Yeah. Or people who have like their parents died early in life, they tend to have sometimes a fear of relationship that person might go away or they die, have a trauma that, they believe that, they can't or deserve. They want to feel that pain again because of your mama. You don't or didn't get the love long enough for a certain reason or something.
Yeah. So that would create like attachment issues or trust issues. I forgot to start to give a disclaimer before we started this segment. We're not a psychologist. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists. This is just research and our own opinion. So if you need to seek help, go seek professional help. As I said earlier, there's value in that. And even like holistic help is like, professional help. But we're just giving opinions and research and stuff we've watched and experience because it's something we work on a lot. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more too on what we do. Um, so I guess when you have reactivity and conflict patterns, it may be unresolved trauma can be triggered emotional response to minor disagreement, difficulty trusting others, childhood betrayal, whether from caregiver or other trusted figures. So yeah, everything goes back to your childhood. Like you have a trust issue. I guess we covered that one already. Like an adult betrayed you, you weren't held enough. You look for, you look as a kid, you look at adults and your parents to take care of you. And if they don't do that, it's gonna cause so much issue as an adult.
Yeah, or like if you always fight with your mother or your father, you're always battling with them for various things because whether they didn't agree with you or didn't like you, those things tend to portray out on other people because you're gonna act out on them because that your foundation at home didn't teach you to have I guess, a level, calm, demeanor.
Or how to deal with your emotions.
Yeah, how to deal with your emotions, how to not act out because at home you just went crazy too. So that same thing pass along, and most likely you're gonna have that same issue with your partner, probably your child also because that's how you grew up. That's how you were raised, or your mother didn't hug you a lot, so then you don't hug your partner or your kids because that's how it was at home.
That's British people.
Yeah.
They don't show affection, apparently. Um, so a study from the journal Clinical Psychology found that individuals with history of childhood trauma were likely to adopt avoidance attachment style, leading to emotional distance in relationships. So that supports the same thing we're saying. Another research shows that childhood trauma survivors often exhibit heightened amygdala responses. That means their brains are more likely to perceive threats in interpersonal interactions, even when none exist. So yeah, it all like everything is from childhood, which is what in holistic ways we call it you need to heal your child. Your inner child. We heal our inner child. And once you can deal with your inner child and all your traumas, then your life would be so much easier. So early sexual abuse and long-term impacts. Study indicates that many adults who engage in sexual abusive behavior were themselves victims of child sexual abuse. A research found that approximately 40 to 50% of convicted male child molesters reported having been sexually abused as children. This cycle of trauma, often referred to as abuse to abuser hypothesis, highlights how unaddressed trauma can lead to future problematic behavior. So, yeah, I always say that sometimes when I hear about molestation. First of all, I do believe the key should be thrown away, but then I also have another reaction where I know that most likely that person, even when it's a woman molester, that person went through something when they were younger and they're gonna react to it in two ways. They're gonna be an abuser themselves, or they're just gonna be like, I'm not gonna be that person that did this to me. But
Yeah.
most of the time, more 40 to 50%. So it's not most of, but a high number. Just
So it's still a lot.
just pick the cycle. And if you don't talk about it, if you're not believing your children, if you're not helping, we're not opening channels of communication, then the cycles is just going to keep going.
So we're clear, this stats is also based on if they even get the answers to really put those stats together.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Not every person is going to be honest about it and it's going to just, you know, as you said, departmentalize it and put it away.
Especially a man
Yeah.
would be quicker
They're not
to
going to come
pretend
and
it didn't
say,
happen.
they're not going to say, oh, my daddy, you know, raped me or whoever it is,
Mhm.
too. But it's crazy the fact that, you know, molesters are people who were molested themselves. It's like you would think that you wouldn't want to do that, give that trauma to anybody else, but I guess they all think that it happened to me, it happened to you, or it somehow stimulates them that they liked it in another way that made it weird and you
No,
don't
I think
understand
it's
it.
just they don't know any better.
Yeah.
It's just what was done. It's just what happens. That's what I think happens. Father absence and promiscuity in adolescent girls. So, research for that found that girls raised in homes without their biological fathers were twice as likely to engage in sexual activity and 3 times as likely to become pregnant before the age of 20. The absence of a father figure can lead to unmet emotional needs, which some young women may seek to fulfill through early and often risky sexual relationship. I guess we call that daddy issues. Basically, like guys may have mommy issues, girls may have daddy issues. That's basically what we would call it in the real world terminology.
So I guess some of those is where the young girls want the older guys or the really old guys to create that father figure for them. You know, it's kind of weird. I guess that's where the whole daddy scenario came
I was
about.
gonna say the girls who call guys daddy in the bedroom too. That's daddy.
That's crazy.
Serious daddy issues. Boys without fathers and increased behavioral issues. So the U.S. Department of Justice reported that boys from fatherless homes accounted for 70% of juvenile detainees. Research consistently shows that boys raised without fathers are more likely to exhibit aggression, engage in delinquent behavior, and struggle with academic achievement. Without a stable male role model, many young men are greatly at risk of adopting antisocial behavior. That also touches on the episode we had on fathers in the home and how especially we'll do an episode on that at some point, how I was saying they destroyed the black family on purpose because without men in the home, yeah, you're just putting more people in jail. And for those who don't know, the jail industry is a private industry and it is very, very profitable. So I believe that's all by design. That is no coincidence. Emotional neglect and psychological disorders. A 2016 study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry found that individuals who experienced emotional neglect as children were significantly more likely to develop depression and anxiety disorder as adults. Emotional neglect, where caregivers fail to provide adequate emotional support or recognition, often leads to low self-esteem and difficulty forming healthy relationships. So, same thing, just from a study, if you weren't held enough, or maybe you didn't have skin to skin. I don't know nothing about that, but apparently that's a thing. Skin to skin at birth and stuff like that, all that emotional, you feel like separated. domestic violence shows up later as aggression. And basically, then the point of all this is, yeah, like your childhood, what you see or what you experience in your childhood is going to create a cycle in your life. And unless you deal with that, then you're not going to make your life better. You're not going to have better relationships, which is what we said in one of the episodes. You have to work on yourself before you can even. People always think that it's someone else or you have to fix someone for things to get better, but you need to fix yourself and then things work better.
I guess the problem too is you have to realize that you have an actual trauma is the problem as well for a lot of people. Because they might think that they're fine, but it's just really pushed away trauma that's still somewhere there. Like we know a lot of people that have a lot of issues, baggage that they just haven't dealt with for whatever reason. Whether it's easy to deal with it or not, or you can't deal with it, but it's something that has to be figured out in some way with all the work that I guess maybe you might mention some stuff, some options you could do, even if it's at home, with your meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can. I guess we're getting into that. Well, I guess that the next part is what you were saying. Basically, awareness is key, but I think people just ignore because it's easier.
It's easier.
It's hard to deal with your issues. You don't want to revisit it. It's painful. But what people don't realize is that that pain is still stored and it's going to show up in different areas of your life. And it's not going away until you make it go away. Like you have to deal with it heads on. You know what I saw? And I never forget that video. It was like a reel or something on Instagram or some social media. When you ask God for more, like you want it to be closer, ask God to be closer to your family, like it's examples of things you may ask, to be closer to your family. And then you realize there was a death in the family, but because there was a death in the family, it did bring you closer to the family, to your family. So it may be a traumatic event, but it did get the end result. And by the way, ever since then, I'm scared to ask God for anything because it's like I'm gonna ask for patience and then I'm gonna get some crazy, shit to get the patience. But when you think about it, it's true. It's like what I tell you, for every death, there's a birth. Like, your mom may die, but your sister has a kid and then they make you the godparent and then that child in the family becomes your like it's always light and I guess darkness and light. And I guess life is, if you don't experience the darkness, you won't recognize the joy, the light. If you don't experience the darkness, you won't experience the light. Or something like that.
Okay, Miss Philosopher.
Yes, that's me. So I guess to address your trauma, you need to be aware first. The first step to healing is awareness. It's like the 12-step program. The first step is to admit that you have a problem. Then you have to learn to regulate your emotions and then seek connection and support. So I guess support can be, like going to a therapist, talking to a friend, like go to a group, or like there's so many, I think, ways today that you can find help for that. So some of the stuff that has worked for us is more holistic stuff. So every full moon is for releasing, new moon is for manifesting, right? So every full moon, I do this cord cutting and I make Chris do it with me now. We don't do it every full moon, but I try to do it as much as possible. It's shadow work and cord cutting. So I get it from Christiani or something. He has like millions of followers on YouTube. And when I first did the cord cutting from him, his cord cutting ritual, I thought it was some cuckoo for cocoa puffs. And I was like, I watched it. I was like, this thing is just going to be stupid. How am I really like, on the first one, I cried like so hard. And then it brought up so many emotions. And as I do them, sometimes I don't even focus on a specific issue because I believe that eventually I've done it so many months that I ran out of trauma, to clear. I feel like I've cleared all my trauma. So now the way I do it is I kind of go into it and then I don't ask for anything. I let whatever comes up. And then I've come to realize that I have so many childhood memories that comes up that I forgot about. Like maybe it's like locked somewhere. And then I guess I just cut the cord. It's like, it's crazy. And his thing was like, I think starts at $8. It's like some sliding scale. So I paid 11.11 because it's a blessed number.
The donation guy?
Yeah. Some stuff you pay, and then some stuff he has as donations. And then, so Chris Corsini, anyways, all the details will be in the show notes. But shadow work, cord cutting rituals are really, really, really good. And you can find this stuff for free on YouTube. Like there's great people to follow on YouTube.
Just so you guys are aware, it's not literally cutting cords. It's more of a mental guidance meditation where he tells you to talk about the thing and then you visualize like a
Letting
comb,
it go.
letting it go, and you're cutting the cord from past things. You kind of do it, but it's like a mental, like you just close your eyes and it's like cutting your cords of past things and whatever you want to let go of.
Because you're releasing that energy. That's really what it
Releasing it,
is.
yeah.
Or that painful memory like you. Then EFT tapping. I've had Chris do that too. So EFT tapping is really you're tapping into certain areas of your body. I think it's like it's here, 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 go under, and then maybe, oh yeah, right here. I haven't done it in a while. But so you tap within those areas, and I think they have specific energy points in your body. And as you're tapping, usually it's easier to follow someone. You can create your own dialogue, but I usually follow someone, and you can tap for anything. You can tap for money. You can tap for anxiety. You can tap for happiness. You can literally tap for anything. So you can put EFT tapping in YouTube, and then whatever it is that you're trying to work on, and you can find someone to like to tap for. I guess, sorry, the one I tap, mine was for money. That was the one I was using. I'll put that one in the show note. The guy that I follow for that, he's pretty good. But one thing I found with that kind of work is find someone that you connect with. Like there's so many people on YouTube, but they might be good and have great, like 1 million followers and stuff, but some of them I don't feel connected like to it, like it doesn't. So when you find someone for like those kind of stuff, or even manifesting that you connect with, that's the person that's supposed to help you through that part of your journey.
It's like she recommends me certain people for like, what's the monthly thing again? Not numerology, the
astrology reading.
stuff. Like certain people, she says like, I don't like this guy's vibe. Like, I don't know. I don't connect with him.
But I swear by it.
Yeah. So,
So
and some of the stuff might seem cocoa for Cocoa Puffs, honestly, guys. I get it. But you have to kind of open your mind into different things. I mean, either that or just go to traditional way, find a therapist. But this is stuff you can try at home. Sometimes it's just for free. Even if you believe it's nuts, just try it out. It's gonna help you open up. You don't know what's crazy until you try it. Yeah. All these things people talk about, but if you really do your research versus just being an outsider, and you start doing research, watch a couple of videos, you realize that there's more to it. There's some facts to it. You might see crazy people online where there's like trembling and stuff, but sometimes it could be fake. But you know what? Is their bodies releasing a certain energy for them? Everything is a personal experience, whether it's fake, real, but their experience that they're releasing it, they're getting something out of it. Whether it's fake happiness to other people, but it's your body just releasing something, whether it's you're trembling, you're crying, it's just or releasing. And it's something in there. As you said, things are just trapped inside of you. I mean, not everybody's going to be as emotional as others, crying and stuff, but you'll feel a relief sometimes by just trying something and releasing, whatever traumas you may have or fears, worries. I mean, if you have any type of trauma, even fear of money, relationships, that's something you might not think as a trauma, but this, fear of success or failure or can I ever make it? Like my life sucks in a whole, like that's a trauma. It's a trauma you're gonna keep going on because you keep believing I can never get out of this hole. I'm gonna be screwed for the rest of my life. This is just my life that I'm stuck being broke or I'm a loser. That's a trauma. And you have to really break out of that cycle to do it. And, whether it's motivational videos, manifestation, or the breath work or some of the stuff she's mentioning here, like it's something that people do, and it works for some people. That's why we have to find everything's a trial and error in life. Not everything works for everybody. Like, there's Reiki she's gonna talk about, EFT tapping. It might work for me, but it might not work for you. So everything in life is a trial. It's like therapy. Some people might say therapy is a joke, but therapy has been around for like, I don't know I don't know how long, honestly, but, people go to therapy for years. I think therapy is one of the weird ones, but I think therapy is just paying for a friend to listen, honestly, to me, because, all they're doing is really listening. Like people who go to therapists a lot of times, they're there forever. And it's like, did they even really solve anything? They're going for forever? That seems kind of strange to me. But, sometimes you need that comfort from somebody to really listen to you or hear your current problems. Maybe you don't have it at home, but it's somebody to talk to. And that's at the end of the day, whether it's God you talk to or, something else, like releasing it in some way is something to do.
Yeah, and like you said, it's free at
Yeah.
home. So it's not costing you anything to try it, and it might work. So you might as well just try it.
Yeah. And I guess to like, even with the therapist, that's like even a big step. You got to figure out, am I going to like this guy? Is he going to judge me? How much I got to pay for it
Is my
versus like,
insurance covering
is
it?
my insurance going to cover it versus like, just going on YouTube and looking up some of this stuff for how to heal. Just Google like how to heal traumas and you'll find stuff and find something that connects with you
Yeah,
for whatever your issue is, whether it's, friends or family or whatever it is, just search it. Somebody's had your issue.
that's true. I think we all have the same similar issues. It just shows up differently.
Or they have a way. Maybe they have their own way of they dealt with it, and that's what you'll find online too.
Oh, yeah.
Their personal
Yeah.
experience, you know.
Um, yeah, I guess you were mentioning Reiki healing too. So Reiki is just energy healing. And then for the people who think it's very cocoa puff, we are energetical beings, and we're made of water and of electricity. So everything is energy. You're really just releasing those cluster of energy. Trauma is just like, energy stuck, and then you just need to release it. So yeah, just give yourself some grace and work on yourself. And I think it's a lifetime journey. Like working on yourself, it's like, I think it's a part of life. You do it every day. You do the best you can. You work on things. Like Chris said, if you have an issue in your life, maybe it might be from a trauma. So you sit back, take a look at it, try to see maybe where it came, from your life, like from your childhood or at some point in your life, and then work on that, and then work the next issue, and then the next issue.
Just to throw it up quick, it is scientific, as you said, because they've actually done studies where they did like I think it was freezing water, where they did like negative vibes, cursing the water, and then they did like something nice, you're amazing, you're awesome, and the water actually retains that energy, and it shows a difference in the pattern on how energy gets absorbed. It's crazy. So
In that one. Okay, so just realize you have a problem. Um, Honestly, most of us have a problem, if not all of us. So just work on yourself. YouTube, Google University, find like somebody that you can relate to that can help you, or just seek professional help from a doctor. Um, and I think that's about it. Like just go into it with grace and Just realize you're going to be okay and it's going to help you long term. And the better you become, the better your life is going to be. So I guess you guys have found some value in that. And remember, we're going to have all the output, like a lot of resources for like the EFT tapping and stuff like that in the show notes. Okay, so now here is segment 2 of our show, which is the future of work, AI, automation, and the gig economy. Okay, so I was interested in this subject personally, because I like to know what's going to happen. Obviously, robots are coming, they're not going anywhere. And I'm always like, how is that going to affect me? Like, how is it going to affect my job? And I think that's one thing people want to know. Like, it's nice, it's all good that all this is happening, but what does that got to do with me? You know? Um, and it was on my to-do list to find out, to research. And then Chris kind of like researched it the other day. So I was like, we'll just throw it on the show. It's very relevant for right now. So what do you feel about technology, I guess, and what's everything that's happening, I guess, before we get into it?
I don't think people are realizing how bad things are going to get. I mean, this is scary to kind of say it that way, but it's coming and it's going to be unstoppable. I mean, if you think about it, even like, I guess it's part of history, part of technology. Like before, you had the house phone, then it became like the cell phone, and then you had the internet come about. Like those things are all like huge changes. So I guess as progress changes, it's something that's coming, and robots have been around, have been in movies for so long. Those are things that we took it as a movie, but it's things that technology hasn't kept up. Like even like the Jetsons, when you were as a child watching movies of the flying things, I mean, those are basically almost here. At least not released in mass yet, but those things are all coming about, like the flying helicopters to go from here to there. I don't know, helicopter taxis, they would say. Um. Anyway, so like even I guess the just first thing that's going to be coming is like the robo taxis. So all the taxi drivers. First, I guess came Uber. Uber killed the taxis. Now, what's going to kill Uber? Well, not kill Uber because Uber is going to do it too. Is going to be the taxiless drivers. I mean, the driverless
I'm not
cars.
getting into that. If it doesn't have a person, I'm not getting into it.
Thing about that is just to make sure that I guess, the sensors are safe, because if you think about it, as long as it doesn't fuck up, it's really safer than driving with a person. They have thousands of things watching every angle that you as a person can never watch. Consistency on speed, different angles, timing that you can never calculate. Maybe you're having a bad day, you focus, you got a text message, you turn for 2 seconds. The robots are not turning for 2 seconds and losing focus. That just doesn't happen.
I understand that, but first of all, I already don't trust the cars right now because they can control my car from anywhere. So I'm a big end of the world prepper so everyone knows. Like I believe you should have a diesel car somewhere so that when that time comes, you can just get in your car and the government cannot track your car, or stop it in the middle of the road, because now our nice little car can be stopped anywhere. So Teslas are even worse. And now you want me to get into a thing where I have to defend myself, not even with a driver, to try to get out this thing that they can manipulate any way, anyhow they want. No, thank you. I'm not getting into that.
Well, guess what? It's coming regardless, whether you like it or not.
I will be the weirdo driving her diesel car by then.
Yeah, but even then, remember, if you're really replacing first, is going to replace the taxis, the Ubers, is what going to be replaced first.
It's okay. I have two personal Uber driver.
No, I'm talking about when you travel.
I will walk.
Okay.
I will skateboard. Oh, no.
Anyways, I guess let's move on from the taxi stuff.
Okay, so it's research estimated the rise of AI in the workplace that by 2030, up to 375 million workers, or 14% of the global workforce, may need to switch occupational categories due to automation. So they're coming for your job. That's how it starts affecting you also, which is why I really wanted to go on this topic.
I guess let's think about it. All the careers that could be automated, I guess all the factory stuff, that's for one.
I think that's on there. Some if you
All the Amazon jobs, 100, I don't know how much, 100,000 people that they help. The what you call it? The robots already there. They're moving around packages around the warehouse, putting it up and down the racks, so that could be easily automated. The food workers are coming. They already have that in some places
what they're
where,
taking orders. You mean in fast food places?
well, there's the taking, well, not the taking orders, because you still place the order yourself to a machine, I guess. But it's more the cooking of the food
Oh,
is
so you mean the
automated.
guy? I saw that robot. That's super
The robot
weird.
that cooks your food, that mixes it up, stuff like that. They can make your coffee for you as a
But
barista.
that's soulless.
Yes, but the problem again, everybody wants things cheap, and that's the part to being cheap.
Well, it's not that. Everybody wants to get cheap and everybody wants
Fast,
to get paid more.
more,
So,
yes.
in order for them to lower cost, they're just going to bypass people. And it's true because all lower wages um jobs, oh, I should have had a stat for that. I didn't even think about that until like you on the show. Lower wages job, not even children want that anymore. Like McDonald's jobs and stuff like that, because they all think they're gonna be the next TikToker or stuff like that. They rather do other stuff, or they're learning like either TikTok, or they're learning to do what's the money thing?
Trading.
Trading, or they're learning different things. So they don't want those jobs, right? So now there is nobody to do those jobs. So, and then the people who are willing to do it, you can. I understand, guys, that everybody has bills to pay, but you can't require $30 to flip a burger. Like, I forgot what is the job we were looking at the other day, and they were asking.
It was the Louis Vuitton. They said they can't find workers to do work here. Everybody wants to made in America, but they can't find enough workers to work in the factories for $17 an hour, which is pretty decent. I mean, I don't know what state that was in. $17 an hour. Everybody in the comments were like, oh, $30, $50 an hour. I mean, yes, the company could afford it, but in reality, they're not going to pay you $200 an hour just because, it's that kind of company. People have to realize that the value you provide is not a relative scale to what they make. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. You're not going to be paid just because I make, let's say, $10,000 an hour. I'm not going to pay you $5,000 an hour because I make so much money. No, I'm going to pay the same $12 an hour to help me out. Gradually, if you provide value, you might get paid more because I don't want to lose you. In reality, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, so exactly. So I was saying, I understand everybody has bills to pay. But if you're flipping burgers, I can't pay you $30 to flip burgers. Because if I'm paying you $30 to flip burgers, how much am I paying my accounting? For my accountant, $5,000 per hour? Like, you guys have flipping burgers, I'm sorry, is a starter job.
You know what? That's true.
Like it used to be for children. It's not for adults.
You know what? You're right. That's true. That's what people don't really realize, especially if you're not a business person. Business people understand how these different level positions work because if you're the bottom worker, which let's be realistic, the fat food stuff like that is an entry level position, the bottom of the pay scale, honestly. So if I gotta pay you $50 an hour, you want to get paid. As you said, the accountant got to get paid what? It's definitely much higher value than that entry level. So what? Now I gotta pay that accountant $500 because clearly he's a more valuable person.
You went to
Then
college for that skill.
yeah,
It's a very important, valuable position for the business because you're managing the money. Like,
accountant. Then there's the CEO. There's the CFO. There's this person and that person. Then you push everything up. Like it's then you keep pushing up the scale. What people don't realize, you keep pushing up that scale. Then if you make more money, everything else becomes more expensive as well.
your Louis Vuitton bag is still going to be now even more expensive because
You
they're
know,
not cutting that cost for BS.
yeah, the more income a person makes, the more people can charge on the other end. That house that used to cost, that's the rent was maybe $1,000. But you know what? If everybody in my area now is making double the amount of money, it's no longer gonna be $1,000 house still now. It's gonna be $2,000 because you know why? People have more income. So the whole fact of wanting to be paid more is not the problem. The problem is, I personally think that it's the whole psychological game that the government is going to keep making more income as the people. There's a certain system that on the back end that they know what they're doing. They're making more money, raising things up over time. I don't personally believe it's inflation nonsense. I think it's kind of crazy. It makes sense because that's what we've been taught. But I think that it's really
Rigged.
it's rigged. I think the whole system is rigged, and the whole value system and everything like that needs to be looked at, because the problem is not the income. The problem is all those things that keep going up and up, the expenses, the housing. People keep making more houses every year, but then those new houses get more expensive over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every year, the new construction that's supposed to be cheaper for affordable, it's never affordable. It's just as expensive as a regular house right now. So it's like the more money you make does not solve that problem. And unfortunately, the way things are going, I believe that UBI is going to be a thing soon, because like you just will just work to do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Universal basic
I
income,
was
where
going
you
to say,
just,
but I realize what it is.
where you're just going to be paid to just, I don't know, do nothing and maybe get some food. And
And then that's when you live in the meta world.
yeah, in the meta world, and what is it?
You see it on the movies, but it's coming.
Or it becomes communist in a communist country, which all the people keep crying for, that they want a type of lifestyle. Or socialist. The socialist is what it is.
Yeah, you all get the same amount of money. Everybody gets paid the same, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and then you get the same crappy food. All the options are gone. For only the ones who could get the nice options is, people who could afford it, who provided the value. Anyways, the point of this is really to make sure that you go ahead and figure out, plan 5, 10, 20 years ahead for a career. I mean, like if you're, let's say, I don't even know what, I think we have some examples here, but
Yeah, you're jumping the gun.
I guess go ahead. You continue.
I was gonna say something, I forgot what. But okay, so automation impact on productivity. Adopting AI and advanced automation see productivity gains of up 40%, shifting demands toward more creative and technical role. And the gig economy is gonna be growing. According to Mastercard's 2021 Gig Economy Index, the global gig economy generated $204 billion in revenue in 2018, with projection to grow to $455 billion by 2023. So that's basically double.
Just to add in there quickly, in case you don't know what the gig economy means, it's stuff like Uber, the food delivery, the freelance work where you do designer, accounting, stuff like that. It's those.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that more.
It's those freelance one-off type, services.
Yeah, I guess your side hustles.
Your side hustle stuff, yeah.
So, how AI and automation are shaping the workforce. They're redefining job roles, like Chris said. Anything that can be, you basically touched on that already. Anything that can be automated is going to be replaced. So he covered the industries that will happen in. New opportunities in AI related fields. So we're going to have an increased demand for data scientists, AI engineers, robotic specialists. So if you have children and you want them to study things, like, I think this is a way to go. And honestly, it doesn't have to go with AI. It's not going with AI or anything, but psychologists, I think, is a good. It used to be a useless degree because nobody ever wanted to go to a psychiatrist. Like, nobody ever talked about it, but now it's so in demand and we have so many people going like crazy that I think it's the next job, because this section is how to, set yourself up for success. So anything engineering, robotics, AI, psychiatrists, psychologies are now the way to go for your children to study. Those are the avenues they want them to study, and you want them to study in school if they're doing college. The threat of job displacement. So while automation boosts productivity, it also puts certain roles such as data entry clerks, factory workers, which Chris was saying, customer serving reps at risk. So those are going to be jobs that might get killed.
So you're aware, not even doctors are safe. Doctor is not a good career at all. The robots are already there, or they're being assisted with robots. That's going to be a thing.
You've seen that in movies. Honestly, just watch a sci movie. Yeah.
And you know what, too? I don't remember what the stats were, but I think doctors a lot of times it's something to be replaced quickly because I think what was it? It's a crazy amount.
Malpractice? I
Yes,
knew it.
it was one of the leading deaths of people is doctor malpractice. But I don't know what that definition of malpractice means, but I don't know if it's a surgery thing or if it's medication, but doctors kill a lot of people
Both.
apparently.
They can go both fall both under malpractice, and hospitals rush it under the rugs because it's not good advertising, and then those doctors get passed on to another hospital. It's just like the pedophile in churches. You just get passed on to the next church. I don't understand none of this, but basically this is what happened in the world. Automation is accelerating. So robots, AI, and software are taking over repetitive rules jobs. So if your job is something very simple and easy to automate, you're probably going to be replaced. So you want to step away from that kind of job.
It's like what we watched yesterday. What was it? The Susie Sanchez something? What's her name again? You one you watched yesterday? The Sanchez lady? You watched a video with her selling the stuff on Facebook, whatever.
Oh, yes. You know, I don't know her name. I watch her all the time. I don't know her name.
Sanchez, I don't remember
But
her name.
yes, she was trying to sell, what is it, like furniture. She got free furniture, or she pays cheap. She finds it online, and then
The the
damn,
video
bro.
was about basically she created how she can create $1,000 side hustle using automation ChatGPT. There's a certain feature in ChatGPT where she went ahead and had it as her assistant, basically went out, research, hey, I want to find, this particular type of product, let's say a chair, under $2. I mean, not $2, maybe like to say $50 in my area. Find me 10 different options for me, message them on Facebook, and then go ahead and find an Uber service, fill that out for me, all automated, and have it delivered directly to me. Clearly, there was some, for the first time, you have to do some training involved. But basically found a way to basically automate the service, to do the research. It found the listings, it messaged the people, it put it into an Excel spreadsheet with all the pricing, comparison, potential even research, what people sell these things for again also, to see like what kind of margin you can have, figure out the price for you, and then sold it. So even like your research assistant can now be done, via robots and ordering and placing and calling Uber for you.
So your side gig for that would be creating scripts for businesses. Because
Yes.
what you need is the original scripts because you want a good script that works. So if you can create good scripts, then that can be a side gig. So basically it's learning to work ChatGPT and AI.
Prompt engineer. That's what they call it.
So you see, there's already a title for it. Outsourcing remained cheaper for corporation, manufacturing, tech support, and even more medical job continue going overseas. So we have you competing with overseas and AI. So you guys have to just you have to be proactive.
Yeah, because I guess what it is too, I guess the labor market is increasing. Everything is no longer, your city, your town, your state, or even your country. Now it was like the market is becoming, instead of the USA, now there's labor in China, there's labor in India to get, help.
Yeah, because the internet and all those websites connect everything and everyone.
Yeah. So like you could basically, get help from anywhere. So the list of people who are willing to work for less in those countries becomes easier, which is the problem we're having now with the whole China tariff thing, that basically labor is cheaper in those places, is the problem I guess we're having with, work in general, is the fact that, people could get work from anywhere now, the remote work or overseas work.
And then something we also already touched on, people don't want low status labor jobs anymore. The younger generation, are not doing it. They don't want factory work. They don't want retail work. They don't want food service because it's low wages, poor treatment, and lack of upward mobility. But the problem is those are supposed to be starter jobs for children. And then you move on to, like something in your field or in your future career. And if the kids are not doing it, then now we have adults doing it. And now they're complaining about the price because those are not meant to be adults' jobs, but some people is maybe the only job they're finding. But you can't blame, like any company for not paying you $30 for flipping a burger, because unrealistically, it's not a $30 value. I'm not saying that the person doesn't represent that value, because your value isn't your job. I'm saying the job, it doesn't represent that value. So you can't request that amount of money, because then it's a down, like a downfall from there. So I guess, as Jim Ron says, you need to upgrade your skills and your value in the marketplace, because everybody's a valuable person. You just need to update your skills as a work in the workforce. So if you want to get more money, you need to bring more value. So what's going to happen is that millions of jobs that supported the working class, especially those without degrees, are disappearing or becoming unlivable. And yeah, we don't have a pay problem. Also, I think we have a living
Wage.
a living wage problem. Like, everything is too expensive. And it's never going to catch up because, like you said earlier, honestly, basically, if they give us more money, they're still going to raise the house. There's going to be a catch 50-50. The only way we fix this is people get a little bit of more money from the bottom, scrolling up, but the cost of living needs to remain the same. Because if that cost of living goes up, then it's just going to keep going the same cycle, same cycle. So people keep asking for more money. People need to stop asking for a higher, what is it, minimum wage. People need to start asking for the living wage to stop increasing. That's really what we need to do. That's where government fix this, but they don't want to fix it.
The problem is there's just too many variables, too many people to get upset, and that's unfortunate. It's not going to change, because sure, it's fine to go ahead and, let's say, if you stop the value of your house increasing, who's going to be upset about that? Who own the homes, the real estate, where their business is that price increasing over time? So then, yeah, there's so much millions that's going to be lost in real estate values and stuff like that. So they don't want to hear that. They want my house to go more expensive so I can sell it, make more money.
But listen, it's like everything in life. You work on yourself so that you end the cycle of trauma in your family. If you don't stop the hate, the same with like is Jewish people and Palestine, if you don't stop at some generation the hate all around, the cycle is going to keep going. If you don't take a loss now in a certain generation with this living wage stopping in order for everything to catch up so that our children can have a chance, then the cycle is never going to end. The problem is a generation never wants to be the generation to take that first step. Like, if you don't stop it, it's not gonna end. If you don't stop blaming white people for what happened 400 years ago, we cannot move on. Like, everything, at some point, people have to put an end to things so that we can all move forward. But until people like realize that is the problem, nothing is ever gonna move forward. We're going to be stuck still with the same issue, talking about the same thing 3 years from now.
Well, not to make it political, but again, I guess Trump is making a little bit of a stance on that, because we've been talking about this whole tariff thing and value for, I guess, in like 25 years, that China's been screwing us over. In some degree, yes, there's a pros and cons to that whole scenario, but people never look at it as the other side, where it's not an equal trade, because we take all the imports, we want the cheap stuff, but when we want to send our stuff over to them, we get taxed as well. So we get fucked in the butt, but we can't do any fucking. You know what I mean? It's a weird example, but
We're not be using this as a clip.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's basically, it should be a equal playing field for both ways. Whether it's even a little close, but it's far off. I mean, a lot of countries are like that. Like, Canada's a neighbor, but certain things, they take stuff from us, but we can't send stuff to them. It shouldn't be like that. And that's, I guess, one thing that I guess he's trying to fix, whether it's political or not. It has its pros and its cons. People being screwed over in the current, because you have to basically put a stop to it, because if we just let it keep going, then it won't fix that problem, because there is a trade gap where we should be able to also compete in their market for people who export things. There's imports and exports. There should be some type of value that we can push out that they should be able to take. Certain cars are not sold. Like, there's certain cars that are made here, we can't sell them in Canada because they're protecting their industry. Oh,
Yeah, that
yeah,
could be another episode, but
it is gonna be so.
oh,
But
it
yeah,
is. Chris already said it. um,
she said, yeah. Like, I guess at some point we have to really put our foot down and take one for the
it
team.
has to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and I guess that's just one example of that happening now. But this one for the team, I don't know. Real estate's going to be a tough one. That affects a lot of people's pockets. I don't know other than that. Robots stopping, technology stopping, I don't think that's happening.
That's not going anywhere, and I knew that wasn't going anywhere. I don't. I like technology and AI to a certain extent because I guess I've watched enough sci-fi movie to see what it can do to us. But I know it's not going anywhere. So when it all started, I told Chris, what are good AI companies to invest in? Because, like I gotta make like if I can't change it, how can I benefit from it, make it work for me? But I think eventually we're gonna have to put our foot down at some point so it doesn't take over us. But I guess we haven't reached there.
For me, I'm not scared of the technology. I'm scared of not being able to have a job, a future, or kids, Tyreek
Having
and his
job.
kids having a decent future. If you're super rich, I think that money will last you to hopefully still have something in play. But people at the bottom, middle class people or whatever, I don't know what's going to be left. I mean, I think in our career where we do marketing services, printing things, I think that I don't know if that's going to be automated anytime soon. But there's a lot of careers that certain people are going to have this, like, basically the pool of jobs is just going to get smaller and smaller. If you really think people are going to be they're not going to be less people unless you do some stuff to get rid of it, which is maybe that's part of that 2030 type plan where it's reducing the population.
Yeah, they've been surely and slowly.
Whether that's something, maybe that's a point of reducing it to basically help with this problem.
That can be a topic.
That could be something that's another topic, but that could be a reason why too, because it is going to have a big problem where there's too many people, not enough jobs because of all the things that get cut out, and this cutting out is happening. All the maid jobs, the painting, painter jobs, and robots just painting your house, cleaning up the floor. That's gonna be a machine. I mean, they have the iRobot things right now that could vacuum, sweep. You know, it's not hard to necessarily have a robot come take out your trash or wash the dishes. It's eventually gonna have those little tasks that you've seen it in the movies. I mean, it's gonna happen too. So a certain part, even let's say even picking in the fields, like they have robots that pick fruits and stuff already. So it's like eventually nobody's going to be safe. And then, like, what's left? 20 people doing what? Nothing. And then that's when you have revolts. And we all know that government and people, that something's going to happen. Something has to give somewhere, to get rid of people. And it's going to suck.
The meta world, though, I'm telling you, those things people are just gonna live in there in the La La Land.
Like that movie we watched the other day.
But
What
it's
was
not the
it?
only one we've seen. There's been
Yeah.
so many that's gonna be happening. People live in like a 10 by 10, and then because you're living in the meta world, your body is just there, but you're living your life in non-reality. You don't need much space.
That concept has been put on hold
I
based on
don't think it's
research.
gonna be.
I think eventually it's going to happen. But remember, Facebook was the one who tried to work on that. And I think it went to the back burner because it wasn't working out. Like the whole meta play world thing it's not there anymore. Somebody's going to figure it out eventually as technology progresses, but I guess it's not as good as what technology allows, I guess is what it is. We want that real sensation, and it's not there. It's more like computer gaming type stuff now.
Okay, so upskilling and reskilling. A 2021 report by LinkedIn Learning revealed that 59% of employees believe their company's adoption of new technology will require them to learn new skills. So people are already seeing since 2021 the need to learn new skills. High demand skills. Research from the IDC projects that global AI market will reach 500 billion by 2024, fueling demand for professionals with expertise in machine learning, neural networks, and AI ethnics. So we said neural networks is going to be so you can connect AI to us. And so anything AI, basically, we said engineering and stuff like that. On job displacement risk, the OECD estimate that around 14% of current jobs could be fully automated, while another 30% may experience significant changes in the task performed. So 14% already can be replaced. They're working, another 32% is working. So you guys everybody needs to figure out, is my job safe? And if it's not, what can I do to, survive? So the gig economy, now you can talk about it because a new era of work. So the rise of freelancing platform, I guess you'll take that one because that's up your alley anyways.
Yeah, the online platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and TaskRabbit have created new avenues for independent workers, allowing them to reach global markets and earn flexible income. So yeah, I guess Upwork is more for graphic design, coding, stuff like that, which has been around
For everything.
for a while. I think Upwork is more.
Can't you get like virtual assistants and stuff on Upwork?
Yes, you're right.
No.
I never really used it for that, so I don't really.
Yeah, they have everything now.
Well, basically Upwork, yeah, is I guess one type of online tasks, programming. I
That
guess
you
as
can
you said,
delegate,
delegate
outsource.
tasks and stuff like that. So people from India, Philippines, even Chinese people. I guess it's not even specific to anywhere, but if you want to post your services, post your rate, and you bid out jobs. That's really all it is. Same thing on Fiverr. Fiverr basically is the ones used to be $5 for everything, but now you can charge $300, $400, $500. It's just a starting point. It's just a name at this point.
And it gives you the opportunity to work on your own time. So after your job, which helps you build, and then you can work from anywhere.
Yeah, from anywhere, flexible schedule. You put in whatever hours you want. You accept whatever jobs you want. You don't want to make an extra $100 a month. You put up your listing. You can close it, take it off, whatever. But Fiverr is you could do. I think the thing about Fiverr, I like it seems more legit to some degree for certain careers. I think it seems more legit to me. Like accounting and stuff like that seems a little more favorite to me. TaskRabbit is more local to your area. So if you're a handyman or cleaning services, painting services,
I've never been on that.
I've been on it. I haven't really used it for anything, but I've been on it. In type of lawn care or type of picking up something, renting out your truck, you could do it on TaskRabbit. That's any little gigs that you could put on. Gig works economic impact. The gig economy has grown steadily with an increasing number of professionals ranging from writers and designers to coders and consulting, opting for freelance and contract roles over traditional employment.
You covered that.
Yeah. So basically, it's the freedom to do whatever you want. I mean, it's freelance work. You don't have a boss. You set your hours. Maybe it's an extra income at nighttime.
Some people make it full careers eventually. Like if you get a different, good, client list.
Think about it. You might think as gig is a one-off thing. Certain careers is like an ongoing service that like you could even just be too busy. Like I reached out to a guy and everyone just like, oh, I'm too busy right now. Like yes, he just has
That's a good problem to have.
like steady work. You know what I mean? So it gets kind of crazy to think that, you might think that's just a side gig, but if you're good enough and you get good ratings, I guess you can make it a full-time career. Challenges facing gig workers. Despite flexibility, gig workers face unique hurdles, including income unpredictability, lack of benefits, limited job security, prompting calls for improved protection and innovative solutions like portable benefits. Not sure what that means. But yeah, the problem with any other job, I guess it's like anything else. Like if you work for yourself, like you don't know what you're gonna make. Sometimes things are great. things disappear. Like it's
This is
unfortunate.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's basically gig work is entrepreneur life is like, yeah, you work all night sometimes, and sometimes you just have nothing to do twiddling your thumbs. Like it's a hustle. So it's kind of crazy, that kind of life. Gig work becomes a lifeline, not a side hustle.
That's basically where we're going. It's what
Yeah,
that is. Like you're gonna have that's the gig work is what's bridging the gap from that minimum wage to making a living wage in order to pay all your bills. You have to have 2 or 3 side hustles, gig
yeah,
works. And that's where we're going for sure and permanently.
yeah. I mean, if you have the time to do it, I don't see why not. I mean, it's just a small risk that you can take that hopefully brings in more money. I mean, more money means you're less stressed to some degree, or that could be a full-time career at some point. You know, I guess you could continue.
Mm. So I guess, yeah, more people will survive on app-based jobs, Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, TaskRabbit, etc. You just don't get no benefits, but it's going to become a necessity. Freelancer growth rate, a 2021 study by Upwork found that 36% of the US workforce freelance in some capacity, counting 1.3 billion in annual earnings, an increase of 8% from the previous year. So, yeah, 36% in 2021 of US people were working on Upwork. So the only thing with that is an income stability concern. But to me, you start as a side gig. Like it's not supposed to be your only gig. So you should be able to have other stuff to support that. It's an add-on, not extra. Policy development, government worldwide are exploring legislative measure to address gig workers' protections. For example, California AB5 legislation sought to reclassify certain gig works as employees, sparking ongoing debates about workers' rights and employees' responsibilities. So I guess they're trying to give more value and more right, I guess, to those side jobs, and maybe eventually, I don't know if maybe they might do like a government, healthcare, I don't know. But it's basically it's a conversation already in government that all those jobs are taking place. So
I think this part is important, but we kind of need to get going too.
um adapting to the future of work, investing in lifelong learning as technology evolves, continuous education become essential. So you guys need to, learn some skills, AI related, even if it's just using scripts for AI in your job, because it's not supposed to do the whole work, it's supposed to help you. So for people who are anti-technology, it's not going anywhere. Just figure out how to work it into your job to make you better and invaluable so that your company doesn't let you go. Right? Um, yeah, it's gonna basically we covered all of that. Oh, the only thing, the trade, we have trades in demand, but like electricians, plumber, HVAC, mechanics. The only thing with that is it's hard to automate, but it's in high demand, but this generation doesn't want to learn it.
I saw somewhere that it's becoming more of a thing, whether it's certain demographic of people, certain areas, but I think they're becoming more into it because I guess they're finding more fulfillment in those careers to some degree.
And to me, it's faster to learn than going for a 4-year degree, because I think trades are like 2 years or less sometimes. So why not? Um, the creator and content economy will be exploding. So millions will try to earn money from YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, OnlyFans, podcasting, affiliate marketing, online coaching, selling courses, or digital products. 99% will not succeed. That's not really nice. But the illusion of easy internet money will keep people trying. But either way, the basically creator and content marketing isn't going anywhere. And micro entrepreneurship, everyone's a hustler. We've seen it. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to keep increasing. Flipping furniture, sneakers, anything Amazon, eBay, people renting out their cars. So I guess like Turo and stuff like that, that's going to go up. just to keep building on extra sources of income. And the one that you only see in movies, but that will be coming, is the underground economy, where you're just going to start barter. Like people of low income are just going to have to exchange skills. So maybe I shave your beer. Can you cook me some food? Because I don't know how to cook. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my mind. But yeah, people are just going to exchange services because you don't have money. That's all you can do. But I think that's when we reach that level of
AI.
yeah, where we're really at the low end of it. What would actually happen the next 5 to 10 years? More inequality, more mental health crisis because people are going to be unemployed and depressed. More rage against the system, more political unrest, more people dropping out of the system. So people living under the grid, vans, tiny homes, like, fuck it, I don't need this big house. I can't, people living like downsizing, basically, growing your own food.
Actually, no, yeah, that's actually a good path to take. I mean, once you make up a certain amount of money, you get your space of land in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, fuck the
You can buy a van. There are some really nice little houses.
regular world, and you just need to have a little bit of money to just maybe certain things. But yeah, you find a farm, you go and have your land, you build your thing, you grow your
You can
vegetables,
grow it
and
with a community too, like-minded people, and you guys just hang together.
I guess maybe you can get your cow and whatever type of things out there, and you go hunting. Cause yeah, it's gonna get crazy at some point where it's
Yeah,
just like there's nothing for you to do.
5 to 10 years.
Yeah, which is sadly it's just right there. I think there was a thing where Elon said it was gonna be like, yeah, and like the next thing at 3035 or something is gonna be like so much thousands of robots for everybody or something like it was crazy.
Yeah, it's coming. So you just need to prepare. What should regular people do to prepare? Learn at least one online skill because everything is going to be online. So, copywriting, graphic design, video editing, AI prompt writing, web design. So, anything that you can do from your computer from a small space that because everything is online. So, anything you can do for online. Build a hustle portfolio because one income stream isn't going to be enough. So, remember, we had one episode where we were talking about finances, and I said everybody needs 7 sources of income now to be able to make it and to live comfortable. So figure out, affiliate, content marketing, like whatever it is, create your different avenues to make money. So you can try flipping items, whatever works for you. Any of the stuff we talked about during this show. And grow a local support system from now because when shit hits the fan, you're gonna need to know who's your neighbor, who's a gun owner, who's your neighbor, who's growing food, and you want to be around people you trust. So basically start building your tribe, like a tribe of people you can trust and that's nearby. Because someone in another state and you can't travel at that time that when it hits the fan, that's not going to help you. So start making nice with people in your area that you can trust.
And now that I'm thinking about it, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but as it says here, there's gonna be a big rage against the system because yeah, like it's gonna hit people hard, extremely hard. Like if you think people hate Elon Musk now because of what he's doing with I guess finding all the debt, whatever. Wait until he puts out those robots in people's houses and taking up people's job. People are gonna go nuts because it's gonna be bad. There's gonna be so much jobs. It's gonna be even if you don't even want to have the robots, but just the fact that they're here, it's gonna create such a thing because it's gonna know what's gonna happen.
But that they're hearing that they stole jobs.
Yeah, they're stealing the jobs, and then it's just gonna be like they're just gonna take over so much little things out of life, and like you have so little left to even live for at that point.
Yeah, so stay educated and stay ahead. Don't wait until the wave hits. Watch trends early, what jobs are being replaced, what tools are being used, and what businesses are popping up around you. You just want to stay ahead of the curve because it's coming. So you have to protect yourself and your family and educate your children so they can know what to do themselves, like for their future. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of Facts too. So I think
Way to wrap it up.
I guess that's about it for this section. So segment 3 of the podcast, sustainability. Yeah, I just killed that word. And ethics, the cost of fast fashion. So that one was important for me because we've watched so many documentaries. Yes, apparently all we do is watch documentaries on what fashion really costs. Cheap fashion specifically. We
You said cheap fashion. All these big companies, they do shady shit too. So don't put it just on
Yes,
cheap fashion.
but I say cheap fashion specifically because cheap
Quality.
fashion, well, I don't care about the quality, is they have to put out a higher quantity, so they're doing more damage than a higher value fashion that will not be producing as much, so they're not affecting as much.
Isn't fast fashion more? They don't put out as much because it cycles out quickly. So like every month to month, so you produce a smaller. Let's say you produce 100 pieces.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to.
Yeah,
But no,
that's
it's
exactly
not.
what it.
They still produce a lot.
Yeah, because they want the inventory to be replaced. So before it used to be a collection every like let's say
I
5-6
understand.
months, but now it's like month to month. Every month you come back to see a new collection.
But remember, in one documentary, I don't know if you remember that because that was a while back. They still have all this left inventory that goes into the fields because
Oh,
they're still
yeah, yeah.
always doing too much.
Yeah.
So all those fast, so where you have a high-end designer, they're only gonna have season fashion, so they're not turning out as fast. So it's still affecting. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm just saying it's not affecting it as badly. The whole industry is a problem, period. So to me, it was an important impact because it doesn't affect people want things cheap and fast, but it's not always a good thing because it affects other people around the world in ways that we're not paying attention. So environmental damage from textile productions. The fashion industry accounts for approximately 10% of global carbon emission and consume 93 billion of cubic meters of water annually, enough to meet the need of 5 million people. So we're spending water on clothes when people don't even have drinking water in some places. But not only that, we are dirtying the water of these people. Because when you watch this documentary, and honestly, not to do my own work, but every time we watch a good documentary, so it's French journalists doing it. Don't be a hater. French journalists are doing great documentaries about unveiling all the shitty shit in the world. The the factories for the clothing manufacturing are dumping their water in people's river. And usually in those countries, because it's third world countries, it's around small towns. And because those people don't have like infrastructure like we do here, they rely on those rivers to drink, bathe, and wash their clothes. So now those rivers are dirty, full of chemicals that kills you, and they don't have anything to drink. So sometimes they don't have a choice. They can try to boil it, but it doesn't kill everything. And now all those babies are born with issues because the mothers are drinking dirty water, they're bathing in dirty water, they don't have a choice because they might be far from a big city, they don't have cars. So basically your fast fashion, your Shein, is that what you call it? I've never bought from there. Your Shein and stuff like that are killing babies around the world.
Well, just to add to that, it's also not just the water, but remember the water canals typically connected to the farms in some way. They pull the water from the rivers to feed the farm. So
That's true.
the food that they're also getting. So then the soil becomes contaminated with whatever chemicals that are in there. It goes into the food. Whatever wells you might have somewhere close to it, all the soil itself gets contaminated, which comes back up in their water, which we've seen that too.
And that might make their land barren after.
Yeah, the land might become barren. They can't grow crops. So it becomes a whole cycle. People think that it's just water, but water is connected to so much different things around you. It's a cycle.
So those people rely on their rivers, and you wanted a Shein shirt for $5, and it just cost the life of a child in another country, and people don't realize that on this end of the world.
Just to be clear, the reason why also that they're dumping the water is because everything has chemicals. Everything that's wet has to be put away somewhere. Where does all this wet chemicals go? Like, that's what people don't think about. Chemicals have to be put away somewhere. They don't magically disappear. Like, that's the side of I guess manufacturing we don't talk enough about, is that chemicals don't disappear. They don't get burned, or if they do get burned, it goes up in the atmosphere and comes back down into the land
It's
somewhere.
still a disaster.
It creates some type of a problem. It gets, it doesn't disappear. It gets moved away from, say maybe in America, they'll ship that shit across to somewhere in India or wherever it is, in Africa or something. They basically ship the problems away. In America, we have the clean air, but our clean air is at the expense of somebody else in some other country. That's the part that we don't understand and really see, that, we live the high life for, I guess, their shitty life, because they get the shitty end of things. They get the slave labor, they get all the chemicals and stuff, the nasty stuff, while we live in our,
Well, except for
our clean
our
air.
chemtrails, because we get
Well,
chemtrails.
you know what I mean. We export our toxicity, I guess, in the air.
Yeah. And then, right, the government in those third world countries let it happen because they need the money from the big corporations. So the big corporations are running them. And you can't blame them in a way, because the people got to get paid. The government got to pay stuff, for people. And so it's a catch 50-50. So it's the job of those big companies to just do better. Like they are, and that documentary, remember that there's this factory that cleans the water so well, the machine cleans the water so well you can drink it after. But what is it, 10 cents more or something, $1? And then Chris and I always have that argument. I'm like, dude, charge me $1 more on the clothes. But Chris is like, nobody wants to pay the dollar. Well, then we're killing more children around the world. So you guys want to be cheap in America and get your little Shein? Well, you're killing children around the world. Congratulations.
Well, the problem is you don't see it. It doesn't affect you. Like that's
It's just like the pedophile thing. Like if it doesn't affect home, like people just look the other way.
People don't care because it doesn't affect you in your life right now. So it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. The missing children around the country is like, okay, it doesn't happen to me, so like I don't really care.
Yeah, so that's a big problem. Okay, waste and overproduction. Nearly 85% of all textile produced end up in a landfill each year. That's about one garbage truck of clothes burned or sent to landfills every second. People. That is crazy. And I guess that's back to what you're saying. We fly away our problems because we send our waste to third world countries, guys.
Yeah, people keep thinking everything is recycled and cleaned out or repurposed, but other stuff just goes into the trash. Like the whole recycling, probably should do something about that too. The whole recycling thing is a huge scam. Like, yeah, like you're thinking like your recycling bin and stuff like that, or your clothes you can bring away is finding a good home somewhere to some nice people. A lot of times it doesn't. Like we've watched documentaries where it's like there's landfills of this clothes just dumped.
And people living on top of it.
Because they have so much clothes. Like we've seen this here in Miami too, where we've seen like places where they're just exporting bundles and bundles of clothes. Like you're thinking it's going to like the Goodwill and somebody repurpose your stuff. No, it's being sold to somebody here that's going to sell to somebody else in some Africa. And some of the clothes might go ahead and maybe get used from it, well, some might just get thrown away, and it becomes their problem. And then they buy it and they get a little fee for exposing it to throwing it away. But it's really just going to be dumped up and then burned somewhere, or exploded because of all the chemicals that's in the fire. There's a buildup of chemicals, and then things explode and burning, and becomes a big nasty mess. Because all the gases get trapped under the clothes and whatnot.
Well, I guess next one is what you said: toxic chemicals and dye pollution. The World Bank estimates that 20% of industrial water pollution globally comes from textile dyeing and treatment. Many fast fashion factories discharge untreated toxic waste into rivers, poisoning ecosystems and communities. bang, I guess we covered that already. We were the facts. So the human cost of fast fashion, exploitation labor practice. Many fast fashion garments are produced in low-wage countries where workers often endure unsafe conditions, long hours, and minimal pay. For instance, the collapse of the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh in 2013, I remember that one, killed over 1,100 workers, highlighting the life-threatening risk of many garment workers face. I think it's they were working and then the whole building collapsed and we just went on with our life like it was a Tuesday, like just another Tuesday. And let me go see what Zara has today. Like, it shouldn't be like that. And I'm not saying I'm any better. Obviously, I buy clothes, but when I'm buying clothes, I'm very well aware of where my clothes came from. Like, I'm not in denial, and people don't realize. At least if people would realize, it would be step one. Like, the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. The first step to fast fashion is admitting where your fast fashion is coming from. Child and forced labors. So yes, a lot of your clothes are done by children because they don't have a childhood and they need to help their families eat, and they're working in crappy environment. Reports from the U.S. Department of Labor indicate that child labor and forced labor remain prevalent in textile supply chains. Fast fashion demand for quick, cheap production perpetrates this abuse. Lack of worker protection. A 2020 study by the Clean Clothes Campaign revealed that during COVID-19 pandemic, many garment workers were left unpaid or were paid reduced wages, exacerbating poverty in already vulnerable communities. Wages and living conditions. The average garment worker in Bangladesh earns about $95 per month, far below living wage. And you guys are spending more than that per week probably on buying those clothes. Unsafe factory condition. According to the International Labour Organization, many garment workers lack basic protection such as fire escape and building inspection. Those risks are heightened in the rush to meet fast fashion deadlines. And yeah, so I think there's nothing wrong with people wanting clothes and wanting a new style. I'm all for like style and stuff, but I think people should be willing to pay a little bit more so that people on the other end get a little bit better lives, like bare minimum, like some regular hours, a little bit more money, no children working, like. But if people keep pretending this isn't happening and just keep buying and ignoring the problems, then the problems are not going to go away. They're just going to get worse. So, yeah. The environmental consequences and consumer habits, carbon footprint of fast fashion. The global fashion emits more carbon annually than international flights and maritime shipping combined. So for all those people who love to talk about our carbon footprint and what is it, the environment? What is it, all this environment people call all this crap? So for all your BS, environment BS, while you're shopping, you're wearing your new Shein outfit, talking about the environment, you committed bigger murder with your little Shein outfit than you did with the cow farting in the atmosphere. So we're clear. The cow didn't do nothing. Its fart is like far less of an issue. Or, like I don't know, those words, environmental people like come up. Or it's like the celebrities with the environment, preaching environment issue where they're all taking 6 different jets to go to the same event. You could have fight commercial? You want to save the environment.
You saw the one where they're doing what was it, some type of economic summit or something in Brazil where they're now cutting down the rainforest to build a highway through the rainforest. Like, don't we need to save a little bit of freaking trees?
No, because eventually
help me make
we're
that
just
make
gonna
sense.
die.
Help me make,
And I won't be sad.
You're having an environmental summit. You need to build, you mash up a whole part of the Amazon to build a freaking highway for this event. How does that make
This
sense?
planet does not operate on sense. It operates on, I don't know, the Lulu and greed, honestly. Because it's not only greedy people, it's also the Lulu people. Like you're fighting over a straw, but yeah, your outfit is like causing more issues than your one little straw. I'm not saying it doesn't help, like, but don't bash people while you're not doing any better. Like, because, yeah, you're just real uneducated.
Yeah, you have your one straw, but you have like 20,000 outfits a week that you keep buying and then throwing away the following week.
And you have no idea what happens to the clothes or where it came from. Microplastic pollution. Many fast fashions are made from synthetic materials like polyester. When washed, this fabric releases microplastic into the water system, harming marine life and entering the human food chain. So that's also for your not eco-friendly environment people. Like your clothes is just dropping. Every time you're washing your clothes, it's just dropping microfibers. So you're also impacting our environment. So now it's not only other people's environment, it's our environment. But then you're gonna get on people's butt for like anything, like a straw, like anything.
I guess what they're saying too is because I guess with the water system, I guess what we haven't really seen too much about it, but I guess the fact is, I guess that the water that we release from here in our homes, it gets recycled back into the system. And I don't think it gets cleaned out
Yeah, depending
well
on what they're
enough.
cleaned for.
Or maybe not everywhere, but certain places where the water doesn't get recycled and cleaned out well enough, those things get back into your drinking water that you probably wouldn't be filtering to clean it out.
Because it might be, depending on what they consider harmful or not, they might let it through because they'll say it's a too small amount. But those small amount of, if you get enough small amount of plastic, which is going to go into your brain, with it's been found that it starts affecting you Alzheimer, dementia, and stuff like that. So everything is basically everything is a cycle. And you think things are not affecting you in a certain way, but it is. And you think it has nothing to do with you, but everything is connected.
It adds up. Small things add up over time. Maybe it's the plastic is one thing, but then there's also the plastic, and then you have your bad eating habits. You're eating, contaminated food with cancer, something, whatever. Like all those little things keep adding up to just. You might be thinking, "Oh, I got it from my mama," but no, it's because y'all keep doing the same dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
You have these compounding issues that you don't think are real, or you don't think maybe it's the government not doing their job. It's or all the food dyes and the food, like everything is just connected, as you were saying. It's just a compounding effect of bad shit that they keep forcing down our throats.
And then one day you have Alzheimer.
Yeah, the
One day
plastics
you
and
have
the
cancer.
food, the dyes or whatever. It's like
One day you have imbalanced hormone. It all adds up. It's going to catch up to you somehow. Disposable culture. Fast fashion encourages a wear once, toss away mindset. The average American discards 81 pounds of clothing per year. Much of it is barely worn. The culture of disposable contributes to overflowing landfills and increased waste management challenges. I believe in buying quality and just wearing it over and over. And honestly, when you buy quality, it's called vintage. You can pass it on to your children and it's still in good quality. So, yeah, I used to buy cheap when I was younger, and them things don't last. And you get what you pay, but it also affects us badly. Microplastic impact. They have a report that 35% of microplastic in the ocean comes from synthetic textile. So the next time somebody bothers you about a straw, tell them that their Shein outfit is causing the ocean more problem than your little straw, and tell them to just leave you alone and go away. Consumer waste statistic. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency states that clothing waste increased by 70% between 2000 and 2015, driven by the fast fashion model. And longevity versus waste. A report from RAP found that extending the life of a garment by just 9 months reduces its environment impact by 20 to 30%. So rewear your clothes, stop buying so many clothes, and maybe let's put a little break on fast fashion. I think we just have too much. Like everything is just too much of everything. And like us, we've moved a lot. Like when you look at everything you have too much. And then you see people move away to other countries and they have to move with 2 suitcases. And you're like, did I really need all this? Because you managed to move with those 2 suitcases, but you had so much before those 2 suitcases and you're living just fine in another country now. So it's like, I think we're too attached to materials and we have too much. I mean, it's nice to go shopping, but do we really need like a new outfit every week? I mean, I've been that girl, but once you learn to do better, like just do better. If you're hearing this, then now you should know better. So do better.
Well, I think the point of fashion is to go ahead and impress people and the new outfit and looking cute. You can take the same picture again with this outfit.
Dude, you can reuse the top and work it in different ways. With a skirt, with a pants, with a jeans, with heels, with flats, with sweatpants. Like, we can do better. I think so. Look, mostly guys live with very limited clothes. Now these days, guys are super fashionista too. But, like people can make it. Like we can manage.
She's saying women are the problem.
No, I said now guys are also fashionistas.
No,
but
women are the problem.
Possibly for fashion, a bigger problem.
There's not guys getting 20 different outfits a week. It's not happening.
That is happening these days.
Yeah, some guys.
Whatever. Steps towards a more sustainable wardrobe. So, as I said, embrace quality over quantity. And then, like that, you can pass it as vintage to your children. Support ethical brands. Research companies that prioritize fair wages, safe working condition, and sustainable practices. I know it's hard, and I know people hate doing research or educating themselves, but there comes a point, guys, we're gonna need to educate ourselves and do better so that our children can have better. Buy second-hand and repair clothing, so thrifting. I see this generation is getting a little better with that, so I think that's a good thing on that end. Not everyone, but some are doing better. I think it's becoming a cool thing. So thrifting, keep going with that. Consignment shops, repair services, and be mindful of your clothes. Wash garment less frequently, air dry, and donate recycled item. I don't know about the washing less, because if I'm wearing it, I'm gonna wash it. But I guess that's because the chemicals that goes into. But I guess, yeah, just like there's little things that we can do to improve.
You should also mention here, because I think you said that too, with the air drying. So with the air drying, your clothes get less damage than if you put it into the washing machine, no, drying machine. Like I said, damage your clothes, they heat and stuff like that.
It shrinks it, so your clothes last way longer. I air dry all my clothes, our clothes, because obviously the boys don't wash their clothes.
Yeah, I have clothes that lasted for years and years and years. I'm still wearing, and they still fit. They still look new, honestly.
Yeah, we have to actively just get rid of stuff just so we can get new stuff, but we wouldn't have to. Like our clothes last. Like if you buy something that's good and you wash it properly, it's gonna last. Okay, so the tariff impact on fashion. Chris wanted to touch on tariffs since we are in a tariff era.
Talk about it. Okay. All right. So higher import costs, increased tariffs on imported textiles and garments raise the overall cost of producing cheap, fast fashion. As prices go up, and some brands may consider the value of mass producing low quality items. So the fact, I guess, with the whole tariff thing is that the cost basically it gets added up. And I think the misconception with tariffs is, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that one, the costs are actually minimal on the actual importing side of things or exporting, whichever one look at it. It's, let's say if it's a 10%, but people look at it, you have to look at the actual cost, because you don't get tariffs on the retail value. You get tariffs on the actual imported or exported value. So let's say if it was $1 and it's 10 cents, it's $1.10 for the tariff, it's not going to be, let's say, on the $3 value. So that number is small. Realistically, a lot of times the tariffs could just be taken off from the profit, especially those big companies making thousands of dollars. But no, they want to go ahead and bitch about it. The tariff is such a big deal, and they pass that cost off to you, so you can complain to the government about it. But it's really just a minimal number. But again, the issue is, I guess, with the how it's being affected because of the prices and the cheap fashion. Again, people want the cheap things, so by them putting the tariffs is raising the price of what we call the cheap stuff. But cheap doesn't necessarily always, it's not always the best thing. You want to have better quality, as she was saying earlier. So maybe that's a reason why we should get rid of importing everything from China and those places, or get better quality product that lasts longer and reduce the fast fashion and changing every 2 weeks because we need the latest outfit.
I'm not a fashion expert, but if you buy basics, yeah, you can just create new outfits with what you have. So
towards local sourcing. So brands facing steep import tariffs might explore domestic original suppliers to offset costs. This can create opportunities for smaller scale, more sustainable production models and close to the consumer. So yeah, support brands that are in the country. It also produces more jobs. And then there's several companies in California that produce things locally. Maybe they might import certain things. So that's a tariff situation. But buying local supports your family, your friends, your certain
made
people in
in
the country,
US.
made in the USA. I mean, importing, as you're saying, it's like, sure, you want to help the people get a better life, but you also want to help, I guess, your community, your people around you, your fellow, American people, have a better life too, because everybody struggles. I mean, the people who actually work in those factories typically are, low income people. So supporting American made stuff is helping out the environment. It's, not affecting this tariff stuff, but it's providing more jobs to people in the country.
I'm looking forward for hopefully we'll have more manufacturing here back.
Manufacturing is still a double-edged sword because it's like, it's going to change to automation. So it's still like, it's
I see
still,
what you mean.
it's still eventually going to be another industry that's going to die out. It's like you have another 5 years before it's like you have machines just printing out shirts. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, that means we are the one in charge of that outcome, because if you want to make a change, then you just have to spend a little bit more, maybe with that one company that wants to do it right. They're still hiring Americans instead of machines. But they might be $3 more for the t-shirt instead, then spend that $3 to support that company. I think we work with, what is it, Patagonia? That brand, like they had a great mission, like, with the environment and stuff, and they did great because people wanted to support that. And I think we need to do more of that.
Reduce reliance on disposable fashion. With higher costs, consumers may become more selective, reducing demand on ultra-cheap throwaway clothing. This shift can encourage brands to focus on quality over quantity and push consumers towards more durable, long-lasting garments. So yeah.
Basically, the tariffs might change people's mind because they might have to slow down the fast fashion because it's not cost effective anymore. And then people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to spend more money. So then hopefully that might help a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, yeah, we don't need all this cheap shit. I mean, back in the days, like people used to have, they might shop like once or twice a year, and now it's just like every week. So people back in the days, what, or 10, 20 years ago, did they have no style? Did they look busted? No, it's like you just, you had certain clothes and you recycle them out throughout the year and you bring them out next year. It's like, who really remembers half the time what you be wearing? I mean,
Yeah, like not everybody's that important. Like only you know or remember. And if the people are remembering, that's on them. That's not a you problem.
unless you're like Beyonce running on the red carpet, like who freaking cares? You're not a celebrity,
Yeah, if
though.
it's not a red carpet outfit, you can repeat it. That's true. Anything that's not a red carpet, you could repeat.
But oh my gosh, you wore that outfit last week or last month? You must be broke. Oh, that's not how the show works.
Um, One thing I wanted to touch on that's not on there, and it's kind of out of the subject, but we'll do probably something about that at some point. Like I was telling you, I'm looking into changing my clothes to more organic, clean products. So I want to change everything to like cotton, linen. So basically real fabrics, because the thing is with polyester and all the materials in all those fast fashion, basically, cheap is like polyester and stuff. First, it messes up the environment with everything we explained, but your body, your skin is your biggest organ, and all those chemicals and those what do you call that? Microplastics are going into your skin, then it goes into your organs, it goes into your glands, it goes into your brain. So fast fashion is not only affecting, you're not only killing children in third world countries and their environment, you're not only killing the environment, but you're also killing yourself with it by wearing it. um you're putting it on your vagina, on your balls. That's like your reproductive areas. So your chances of having children with all this microplastic and stuff is really bad. So, cotton panties, cotton boxers might be better, linen clothes, and technically they tell you those are chicer too. So
I think they say hemp is really good too.
yeah. So anything that's clean fabrics are better for you and better for the environment. So I guess if I leave anyone with something, it would be with that. No, that was it for me. That's it. Okay, so guys, this is it for today. I hope you got some value from episode 6. Make sure to subscribe, follow, like, leave any feedback, leave any topics that you guys want to hear. And then just, yeah, thank you for tuning in. Remember to check the show notes on the website. I'll try to put a lot more information on this one because I think we had a lot more information to share, especially on how to fix your trauma and stuff like that. And I guess this is it. Anything you want to add on?
Just like, share, help us promote our word. We're trying to grow this podcast, hopefully get somewhere one day. Hopefully you guys like it.
Help more people.
Yeah, help more people. We're trying to provide a lot of value to you guys. It's a learning thing for us too. We're building something bigger, bigger than it is currently. Want to be a top show one day. Definitely help a lot of people out there.
Well, at least we hope it's helping people.
Yeah.
That's the point of this, is to help people. This is more of a passion project for us than anything else. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. This was Chris and Cappy with Bond and Bill.
See you guys.
Bye.